Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are making egusi soup, so keep watching if you want to see this. In this pot I have some goat's meat. To that I'm going to add some onions, rinse out the blender and add it, which is going to be the only liquid I have in there for now. Next I'm going to add some seasoning cubes, some salt and some Cameroon pepper. I love to use Cameroon pepper for my egusi soup because it adds a beautiful aroma to the dish. So add very little or as much as you can tolerate, but just bear in mind that this thing is very hot. So mix it together, cover it so you can start steaming for another 10 to 15 minutes. Meanwhile, in a pressure pot, I'm going to cook the cow skin, the stockfish. This stockfish is the one they call cod. It is very hard. If you don't have a pressure pot, you may have to soak it for a few hours before cooking it. I've also added some cow tripe, some seasoning cubes, a little bit of salt and some onions. I'm going to now cook this until it is halfway cooked. So 15 to 20 minutes later, I check on the goat meat. So now I'm going to add the pre-cooked shaki, pomo and stockfish. It's halfway cooked, so I'm going to add everything together so they can all cook at the same time. So stir that up. You may adjust with salt or seasoning if you wish, but because I seasoned the offals, I don't have to add any more. So I've added a little bit of water and some snails. I love snails. So I've added that. I'm going to now cover so everything can cook. Over here, I'm going to blend up some red bell peppers and some onions as well. So the reason why I'm adding red bell pepper is because I don't want to use a lot of palm oil. So it's going to help with the color and even the taste as well. So I'm going to blend this until it is smooth and set it aside. Next, pound or ground the crayfish and ogiri and set it aside. You will see why I didn't blend it together with the peppers as you watch. So over here I have some uziza seed that I'm going to blend and sieve. I love uziza seed or uziza leaf in my egusi soup. It infuses a very beautiful flavor to the soup, so I always like to add it. I'm sieving it because when I don't, the particles feel like sand in the soup to me. So yeah, I always like to sieve it to get rid of the particles. So over here I have some grounded egusi. To that I'm going to add some onions, rinse out the jar and add it, which is the only moisture we're going to add to this. You don't want it to be too mushy. So with a spoon I'm going to just mix everything in together until it is well combined and then set it aside. At this point the meat is cooked. I'm going to now scoop it out and set it aside. You may continue cooking the soup in the same pot, but this pot is small for the amount of soup I'm making, so I changed the pot, transferred the meat stock into the pot and then topped up with a little bit more water. So once I add that, I'll add the grounded peppers and onions, some of the crayfish and ogiri. I'll add some of that and then reserve some for later. Once I add that, I'll go ahead and add the sieved uziza seed. Next, I'll add some pepper if you want more. Then I'm going to cover this and allow it to come to a boil. It's boiling now, so next I'm going to gently scoop in the egusi and then cover it so you can start cooking. At this point you want to reduce your gas to medium-low heat. My gas go up to 10. I had this on number 4 because you don't want it to burn. You also want to keep checking from time to time and then stirring it up very gently. You don't want to break up the lumps prematurely. So continue cooking this until you visibly see some oil start floating to the top because egusi contains oil. At this point, you give it one good stir again and you can see it has formed a good number of lumps. At this point, you can now break them up if you feel like the lumps are too big for your soup. So stir that up and then next I'm going to go ahead and add some bitter leaf. You guys, bitter leaf in egusi soup is just so sweet. I mean, after eating it and you drink water, that sweet sensation, delicious. So stir that in really well. Next I'm going to add some palm oil, but I'm not going to be adding a lot, just a little bit because the bell pepper have already helped us with color. So add the palm oil and then cover so it can integrate into the soup. You also want to keep checking this from time to time so it does not burn. Stir it all up, cover it again, and then continue cooking on medium-low heat until the palm oil is completely integrated into the soup. 5 to 7 minutes later, you can see that beautiful color. The palm oil is completely integrated into the soup. Next, I'm going to add that remaining crayfish and ogiri. Adding this last just revives the pungent taste of that crayfish and ogiri, which is why I like to add it towards the end. Next, I'll add the smoked fish. Then I'm going to go ahead and add all the proteins now. Give it a good stir, and at this point you can leave it if you want, but this is way too thick for me and my family, so I went ahead to add a little bit of water, hot water actually. Then I'm going to adjust with a little bit of salt or seasoning cube if necessary. Stir it all up together, cover so it can simmer for another 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, I open up this pot, and you guys, the aroma was just nose blinding. So now I'm going to add fresh vegetable. I'm using collard green. If you have access to ugu, please use that. So stir it all up, cover it for about 1 or 2 minutes so everything can just come together, and it is ready. Take it off the heat immediately. Serve and enjoy. Send me pictures on Instagram at The Joyful Cook if you get to try this out. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next one.